Hello and welcome to an open source live code hangout. We'll be working on the Western Friend website today. I've got an issue here. It's a small optimization, I suppose. Basically, we have keywords that are shared across our content, and they allow people to navigate our site based on common topics, or these keywords are essentially topics to find related content, essentially. When I implemented the keywords feature, I just created a link to the search page that would put that in the query string. So essentially every keyword tag on a page, like article or media item, will link to our search page. Our search page is one of the slowest and least perhaps optimized, or at least is slow, pages in the site. I believe it's due to the nature of needing to search across all the content types. It's probably optimized about as much as it can be. Also, I didn't write the code. It comes from the Wagtail core search, so I'm sure they put a lot of thought and design into that. So since the search page is a little bit out of bounds from our project perspective, I'm not really managing the indexes there or the queries. I'd rather just reduce the reliance on that. I've done this in a previous pull request where we were redirecting 404s to the search page. The main reason is just we're getting a lot of bot traffic, and it's kind of costing us a bit of excessive fees. For example, we're using an open source analytics provider to collect anonymous visitor analytics, and in 1 month we exceeded our yearly quota. It's just bot traffic, and I've put some stuff there to mitigate bot, but I guess these traffic. But I guess these are legitimate bots. I think it's crawlers like Microsoft and Google who are just for some reason stuck in a crawling loop on our site. I don't know how to stop that. It's a bit frustrating, but nonetheless, at least we'll try to reduce the load by creating a more efficient display for the keywords. Maybe that'll also break the bots out of their crawling loop. I put Cloudflare in proxy in place, or reverse proxy or whatever, and traffic hasn't diminished, but it has identified a lot of traffic, and that's now reflecting in our analytics provider, who sent us a billing email that we'd already exceeded our yearly quota in 1 month, which was already, it was like 600,000 hits. So that's quite a lot, and we don't get that many, visitors and human visitor impressions. So let's get to it. I believe what we can look at here is essentially the name of our search view. Create a branch first. Basically, we should only, I guess, encourage users to search when they're wanting to search, not have any sort of, not lean heavily on this. Unfortunately, I think it's a really good solution to when somebody clicks on a keyword just to search for all the content with that keyword anywhere in there. I think it's leading to these issues, and somehow the bots are again stuck and hammering our site. And I don't think these are malicious bots. It's weird. So what I can do is get this search view name, and we'll look for, because this is just using the internal Wagtail search with the OR operator, which is also kind of heavy. But that was necessary. It used to be and, but it wasn't. I can't remember exactly what was happening because we would get multi-key queries and multi-word queries, and we want to fuzzy search for any of those. So let's just remind ourselves of that. So we have this search view. But I guess this is defined in our core URLs so that it appears at a top level, not a namespace or not a sub URL. So we should have a search. Yeah, and I gave it the name search, so that's going to be a bit difficult, but let's look for pi. Oh, wait, actually HTML. Yeah, so here's an example. The 404, this is where actually we used to redirect to 404, but now we give them a search field, a search form. But I think if I grab this URL search, we'll get a little closer to what I'm after, just to see where we're redirecting the URL search. So action complete. You can now log in. Oh, yeah. Search. I need that part of it. Our nav bar has a search, which is cool. Search, and our here's where it is. So the tags, query tag. What I'm gonna need to do, I think, is just create a tag display. So we have this tags model. Which is basically from django-taggit. So we're not actually managing this as well, but it turns out we'll need a view for that. And this is sort of a, well, actually the Molly Wingate page might have given us a good approach here. Page tags, right? We have page tags. And if I'm using tags consistently, then we should be able to get pages with the tags and page tags, something like that. Let's give it a try. So creating list view. I don't always remember these imports. Sometimes easier, and it has changed, so the context is a bit out of date, but at least we've got that now. So these are like tags, paginator. Yeah, so that's pretty good. I mean, it's really helpful if this works. And this tagged page list is going to be very similar to our search page, because it's essentially a search view, which is why I used that. That has multiple content types. It has at least 2 content types. So we need this. Base. And then what are we doing here? So yeah, that's the right thing. Let's see if it suggests anything else. Nothing else. All right. So we will need to set up a URL structure for it. Yeah, it can just be tags/tag actually. I always just forget what's the boilerplate for URLs, right? I don't know if this is, well, I forget why this is there, but let's go ahead and do it. URL patterns looks good. I think that should then be. Can't remember if these tags can have spaces in them, so they won't necessarily be slugified. Well, let's just test it out one step at a time. So if we go to our core URLs again, and I should be able to just put in any arbitrary tag. We can clean that comment up. It's not what we're doing in this project. So, yeah. We're good to go there. So yeah, if I run the server, excuse me, it's that time of year. Okay, so Postgres is not running. This is actually in DevPy. Start the database and run the server. I'll be right back. Just make myself less sneezy. All right, good to go. Server's running. So we should be able to go now to localhost and tags/test. All right, so first error, keyword tags. So that's coming from the URL. And I think the main thing is that the URL, this is auto-generated, so I have to just be careful. Tag is coming in from the URL, tag. And then this is the problem. So first I just want to get the page to render, then we'll come back to here. Oh, sorry. Okay. Just need to get rid of that method for just a second and run that. Missing a query set. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just. This is where I think, okay, so we got that. So the thing's wired up. That's some good news. But here's where I think I'm going to have some troubles. Already having troubles. These pages, the top level wagtail pages don't have a tags property. I've got some page models that inherit from this where we've defined tags. And when I get this error, we'll take a look at it again. This is looking for properties on the top level wagtail page model. So all of these, content type ID, well, deep archive index page depth, that's actually event. All of these are sort of, these are properties or reverse names. Let me just see how the tags are implemented. But they won't be inherited or linked to the page model. So where are we using tags? Well, Molly Wingate blog was one, so that was on the WF pages model. Molly Wingate blog index page gets Molly Wingate blog WF page tagged item base. This is why I used the search, in fact. But here we go, we got tags. Clusterable tag manager through. Put a through model. I wonder if that through is necessary. Query set. Well, basically what I can do as a minimum thing is, can you perform set operations on a query set? And then, since I can't probably do one query, so to take the union of query sets, what would the ideal solution would be that I could just search for page objects based on this tags field. But as we can see, even though this inherits from page, the search isn't looking for transient, it's not looking for fields on child models. And I believe I've asked this in the wagtail support before. So this is maybe a Django thing. Let's check if ChatGPT can help us out here. So I have several Django models with a common tags field. We'll call them models A and B. I'd like to filter instances of those models based on the value of tags field and return the common query set. Return a common query set. A unified to a view. And the idea is I don't want to make a bunch of queries here because I believe this is also going to be hit by the bots. And I've been trying to learn how to reduce our database load because I think the database is one of the main remaining blocking points in the Django call chain. Whoops, and submit that. We're not yet switching to asynchronous code. I don't know if it'll be practical for this project. Okay, so we'll need some advanced Django queries, itertools, and chain. Okay, so to filter instances across multiple Django models by a common field like tags and return a unified query set, you can use Django's queue objects for advanced queries and itertools chain for combining query sets. Okay, so it looks like we'll still have multiple queries because we'll have multiple query sets, but at least we can combine them. I'll settle for that. That's cool. So we'll import queue and Django DB models from Django DB models and chain from itertools. Okay, let's get our imports in there. And itertools is core, so it goes to the top. I'm trying to just sort of keep our imports in order. Wagtails like on the level of Django imports. And then we'll set up a queue object for your filter. Tags, I contains, and essentially, oh yeah, so it's an insensitive contains. And this brings me back to one important point is, are these tags slugs or will they be potentially multiple words? If there are multiple words, then that's going to mean all bets are off a bit. And how would multiple word tags be handled? Hey, let me look for an example of that. So I'm just trying to think how to set this up. Basically, so our server is running, and we'll come back to this error, but if I go to the wagtail admin, I don't know if I've got a Django, a super user. I do. So we have an article, and this article should allow me to tag it with our common tags field. hope I did that right. Tags. Comma separated list of tags. Multi-word tags with spaces will automatically be enclosed in double quotes. Okay, so there's a problem. This might require migration. And I think I can publish this real quick and actually take a look at our tags and see, because we've done a big import. Multi-word, vegetarian, and so we're QBS, FGC, FJ. So we got a few of these Baird Rust and all right. So unfortunately, it's not a slug. The tag is not a slug. And I don't know if we want them to be case sensitive because some of these are like proper nouns. Others are general concepts. But anyway, I'm not enforcing. I'm not the capitalization police over here. I'm just I'm just making this work. They'll use them how they want. They can have punctuation even. So even if I wanted to, how would I make a view for this tag? Well, it's going to be HTML escaped, right? That's the key realization. So it's not going to be a slug. That means our view needs our URL and possibly view needs to, hey, where the heck my URL go, man? All right. So it's just a string, which I think by default it'll be a string, but I'll just annotate that here. So, and now that I think of it, we're using django-taggit. I was thinking tagify, slug it. What's it called again? Let's check the document. Okay, tags and forms, tags and admin, tag API. I'm looking for URLs just to see how they annotate the URL. So we do allow them to be case they are case sensitive, and they're slugified. Oh, that's cool. That's good to know. Can I have an example view? Oh my goodness! Just take me to the tutorial. How do I use it? I mean, this is sort of how I add it to a model. Tagable manager. How do I get in a view? Come on. Ball cats. The power of ball cat is with you. All right, we can use them in the admin. Django Resty, I'm not using that. It's got a serializer there. The API, that's cool. So we can add them, we can remove them, we can set them, we can find similar. Crazy. Wow, I wonder how that works. Slugs. Ew, green and juicy. Hey, that's it though, that's it. No need. So I can filter tags slug or name in delicioso. This is coming along. Now the thing is, it'll be HTML escaped, and then I need to unescape it, or what's the inverse? Yeah. And on this note, I need to take a small break. I'll be right back. Sorry for the delay. All right, so I think at this point we should turn to the terminal or the shell. So we've already found our list of tags here, and Central America is a good start. The key is we know we can't filter directly on the page object, right? All right, this is what happens. Central America. We get an error. Page number. There we go. Yes, we get this error. It says it's not a field. You can't do that. So we're needing to target the specific models, and then we can filter those models. That's cool. We can do that. Problem is, I don't know where this is used, which model it's used. Probably the magazine article, but it could also be a media item. So what we're going to do then is just bring in our other models. Really? Magazine article, I think. You know, you don't know your own code. It's a thing. It happened. Interesting. Step away for 1 week. I can't remember anything. There's just too much to remember. We know it's not like an expectation. Open editors. I don't care about the editors, man. Do I have a typo there? Yes, I have a typo there. I just don't like typing the MAGA. I think that's the problem. Okay, so now I think I can take this same query just to test it out real quick. Get nothing back, but the search worked, so good. From media models, Or is it library model? Yeah, it's library. Don't know our own project code. Now we'll find library items filtered by Latin America, Central America. Well, library item is not defined. Library item. Yes, that's correct because models are singular. Hey, now we've got an item. So this will work. The thing is, it's going to be HTML escaped. If I just print it, cool. That means Doctrine of Discovery. It sounds ominous. I just need to take a step back and look at how it's coming into the view. So if I look for this item, welcome strangers, how about we do that? Let's do that. I'll wire it to the template and then sort of work my way forward through there. In other words, I'll put the keyword into the URL for the new tag page and see what the context looks like. Probably don't have to do so much guesswork, but anyway, let's experiment with that. Welcome strangers. Oh shoot, welcome. I forgot. It's our page, news, library items. Ah, what the ding dong? That's so weird. My short-term memory is just failing me. Welcoming. Ah, so this is a problem, I guess, of non-fuzzy search. Welcoming strangers, right? We're all strangers on planet Earth. I need to remember that nobody is native. Or we're all native, in other words, in a way. I don't want to get any political stuff going on. But we need to kind of stop the violence and stop discriminating against one another. As my home, your home. This is our collective home. Yeah. So we got the item here. We got some topics, but topics are different than tags. Here are the tags: social justice, Central America, refugees. Yeah, this is the main thing where I'm kind of, getting at it. So we got a lot of refugees coming in to Finland, for example, and discrimination against refugees and other issues such as austerity coming up and making things more complicated. But it's not the refugees' fault. The austerity measures are being imposed on people. All right, so we're able to do this. Now, what I can take a look at is the library item template. And what we do in that template is render the tag in a loop. We might not need to use this specific anymore. Medium, time period. I think we put the tags sort of at the bottom because they're the most generic. So here we have tags, and then instead of going to the search, I want to go to tags.tag with the tag as the argument. I think that should be correct, and we don't need then the query set anymore. So if I go and I view this, I think live. How do I view it live status? I think if I just click this button, it'll open a new tab. Tags.tag is not found. Tags.tag is not a valid view function or pattern name. So we have the namespace tagged page list. Right. I suppose so. Makes sense. So the namespace is correct, but the view was not. Okay. All right. Maybe not. What are our global URLs? Here's our tag URLs. Model, magazine. See, that's what I don't get. Namespace should work. It's not dot, it's colon, I think, right? For URLs together. It's the view, which is relating to the model. I'm going to close that model since we're not using it. And what do you use to separate namespace like that? There we go. Yes, now I've got the thing view rendering, and okay, so it's automatically using the slugified one. So, oh, that's so good. Yeah, so that means I can go back to my tag URLs and put this back on slug. And then, wow, I'm so glad this just works. These are details that I wouldn't want to work out. Wow. No, those are topics. Oh, shoot. Tags are here. Okay, so now they're not. But I think if I just do tag.slug, I hope that the taggit module slugifies them, right? Oh, dude, it works. It works. Okay. Yes, good. And now we're back to the original error because in the view we're still looking at page. That's cool though. So we actually don't need this model, but we're going to let's start with just the library items because we know that works first, and then we'll add other models with page. Import a library item there. Now we should get some results. Once it refreshes Pages tagged social justice. All right, so we're off to the races. We have a query set, and I just haven't done anything in the template to render that. But what we'll need to do, and I guess these query sets are lazy, so there may be some optimizations going on. And I think that has to be the slug, though. I just noticed that. For now, we're just going to return this library item. So I'm just preparing. I'm just setting up so we can have multiple query sets and then use the, well, actually, that's different. Oh, this is cool. So the filter condition, I contains. So here we don't need to do case insensitive search. I think we can just look for this, and we'll just use a common filter condition. Yeah, so it's just the same. That's what I was hoping. It'd be consistent like that. So library items, and what we can do is sort of get the code from the search page. That was already open. Template, and it has these partial. Okay, so let me just think about here if we need all of this, but we have these specific search templates, and perhaps we can reuse those, but at a minimum viable level, I don't quite need those. We're gonna link to there, and in the view, I've got these things, and then they're going to be just query set, I guess. What will the name of that be? Items. Can I change the context object name? And we'll just call this items. All right, so let's see if we can just, they all should have a title and perhaps an intro or teaser, but this is where we kind of get into the territory of needing specific templates, like to render these items. They don't all behave the same. So let me come back to this. I'm displaying the content. And I'm not sure if URL, or we'll have to get page URL in here from the wagtail tags. URLs for Django models, and page URL since we're using wagtail. So I'm going to say from wagtail, or like include, what is it? Load wagtail tags. I think that's what it is. And then this is actually page URL. All right, let's see if we get some errors here. If I've got this loaded incorrectly, and each item should have a title because they're wagtail pages. Whether or not they should be H2 and other questions about markup and how to display the sort of teaser, we'll leave aside for now. All right, wagtail tags is not registered. Wagtail core tags. All right. Yeah, we don't remember these things. There's a lot of these. Cool. Okay, hey, it worked. Yeah. Social justice. Okay, there's a lot of heavy reading here, but it's working so far. We'll improve the display, but let's go ahead and commit. So we've got an end-to-end sort of initial, or like I would say, a minimum viable thing. So I can click on any tag, and I come to the tags page, and we get some results back. These aren't mixed results, so let's for the minimum viable, let's get the mixed results. In other words, mixture of items that are tagged. I think the quickest way to find the models with the tags field would be to search the Python. Perhaps for tags space equals or well, I don't know. I don't always yeah, that worked. Clusterable taggable manager. Cluster taggable manager. We have magazine, news, WF pages, and library. So first we've done the library. Let's go to the magazine article model and come back over here to the view and import that in alphabetical order. Then it looks like we've got news, and it's probably a news article. Let's see, news item. Let's see, yeah. GPT and Copilot aren't really able to guess that. They're not scanning my whole project, whereas the language server internally is. And then WF pages, models import, WF page. Those are all good. So we'll just kind of repeat this in the query set. We got the filter condition, which is common to all of them because I used a common field. This is an important thing to note about being consistent. That consistency can pay off in ways when you try to unify things or integrate things. Facing a lot of consistency issues at my day job because we've sort of re-implemented very similar features and models and separate parts of our application in subtly different ways, subtly different names and behaviors, and it's leading to a lot of bugs, complexity, confusion, and we're trying to kind of consolidate and remember that, hey, we're in a monolithic application. We have one core project. We don't need so much different behaviors, even though people are interfacing with it through different API endpoints and even gRPC and things like that. So consistency is really important. You don't kind of know it until you sort of have gone, I guess, far enough down the line to see, oh man, the mess that I've made. We get library items, we'll get magazine items, magazine articles, we'll get news items, and we'll get WF pages. This is really helpful. See that? Now that I've got all this context and the imports and the initial filter condition defined, ChatGPT is able to really infer all of this. Now we'll go magic with the Q. I say ChatGPT, I believe that Copilot is powered by that. So we get all of our query sets, and then we combine them. All right. Now this is interesting. How we'll handle pagination here. Let's just see if our combined query set works. If we get any errors here. Nope, no errors. Okay, no new content. So let's see, refugees. I'm just gonna see if there's, now we've got a couple of things. We got a library item and library media. Not sure what's going on. Social justice. So are these all library? Let me see if I make it a little bit bigger. I can see these URLs. Scanning. Well, what's a tag that's common to the page and a library item? Let's go ahead and tag a page. The problem is it's also sorted and paginated. Dang it. So I need to figure out what's the paginator in a list view. What is the name of the paginator in a list view? Template. Stuff like that. I couldn't really ask on Stack Overflow, even though it's a very Stack Overflow-y thing, you know, or reading the docs of Django would take me a while, but it's right here, and I just get the answer back, and no criticism about how I asked it or anything like that. Or is it a duplicate? I just sort of get an answer. Paginator number of pages greater than 1. Then we'll introduce our pagination. And I think I just have this reusable paginator.html. We've seen it used here in the search page, so let's just hop back over there. I think I closed the search index. So let's close this. I think I'm good with the models now. And library item, we're done with that pretty much. We can open it back up. Pretty much done with our URLs. Everything is wired up. We're just now in our views and our template, and we're going to put a little bit of pagination magic in the template. So I can reference how this search one did it. We have a common paginator, and I just do this. And I need this L if no items. We'll copy that and read it more closely here. And for else, you know, just in case there are no pages tagged with that, I think people might somehow end up there putting random things, or search crawlers might try a bunch. Which brings me back to this thing. How do I mitigate this issue with so many search hits? So many bots crawling our thing, this paginated item. And we're not using query string on this view. This was a custom thing to preserve the query string across pages. Let's see if this works. If this paginated items expects a paginator, I think so. I could just call it paginator. Paginator equals paginator. That would have been more consistent. I could fix that here, if that's what it expects. Otherwise, it would be paginator dot something. All right. So this, I don't think we need now. We're good. I didn't see any change. Paginator here. Just it's going to show up here. Boom, paginator. So that's not happening. First check is paginator.html rendering. So like kind of print debugging here, but I'm going to go to the pagination, template, paginator, and just pop in. So okay, there we go. It's not rendering. And why? Let's try it without this. If items, render them, like loop over them, that's happening. And this is displaying, but this is not. Include paginator.html. Our paginator.html is in the kind of global namespace. Templates, anything directly in the templates directory will be paginator. Otherwise, I would put it in a subdirectory, pagination, for example. I've saved the file. It's not. It is rendering, but this condition is not met. Okay, so that rendered, but there's no other pages. There's exactly 10 items. So that's a coincidence. So this is kind of telling me that items should be passed in. That makes sense, and that's kind of why I called it here. What I called it here, I mean. Why I called it what I called it. Intuitively. But this was in my mind a query set, but I guess it's a paginated query set. So this print debugging approach is not helpful. You know, I don't want to do this, so but I just want to see that we can get some results. So there is that. So what's happening is I've got an internal method called get paginated items that I've designed, and it's not aligned, it's not consistent with the way the list view provides pagination. So I can't, it's not reusable. So this is a counterexample of consistency where I've got some bespoke code that's not consistent with the Django framework, and I can't just use code generated by the framework, such as this paginated query set. Pagination, I'll show you this real quick, so I'll refresh my brain that way. Paginated items takes a query set and returns paginator, and with an ellipsis to omit certain pages so that you have the full paginator context. You know, there's 20, 30 pages, however many, and you can go to the first 5 and it elides the values between it. This is standard Django stuff, but my interface here is bespoke. I made this data class, and the interface clearly doesn't align with the Django paginator. More succinct, that's not really the right word. More brief, take up less space. But creating a paginator in a Django template with the buttons for each page and ellipses for longer page ranges involves a bit of logic in your template. So we get a list view and paginate by, and basically I should align my pagination code with this approach. If paginator number of pages, so we ensure our list view is set up for pagination like so. This is the important part, paginate by. Then in our template code, we can create a pagination control. The goal is to show the buttons for a few pages around the current page and use ellipses to indicate skipped pages. This is really good. Tailored, fit, answer. Okay, so then if there's some pages greater than 1, we'll need a paginator. And I think in my paginator logic, I don't pass in the paginator. Perhaps I only pass the paginator and not the page object. Or no, it looks like, if I look at the HTML, let's give it the list view. So I'm going to really try to get a very bespoke answer. So here's my Django list view. See if we can connect the dots there that are sort of implicit. So to use your shared paginator.html in your tagged page list view template, you need to ensure that the paginator and the page object context variables are correctly passed to the paginator.html. These variables are automatically created by Django's list view. So this is what I was mentioning earlier. I think I'm only passing the paginator, but I thought it has member pages, and then there's page object on that. These variables are automatically created by Django's list view. Okay. When using pagination. But in your case, I was just trying to think, I'm overriding these probably unnecessarily here. This context object name can just be page object. Consistency, right? Consistency. I might be facing issues to how I'm constructing the context. Here's how you can modify your view to ensure the paginator works correctly. Ensure the get query set returns a query set. Alright, that is returning it's casting it to a list. Yeah, that was good. Catch, I didn't think about that. Of course. So this will just return a whoops, wrong button. There we go. Nice. And then the get context data. And here I can use my shared thing. Okay, even if I'm inventing my own conventions. At least I'm consistent with my own conventions. So it looks like these are a little bit redundant. Now, if I wanted, I would refactor my, this is a bit of a tricky thing. If I want to get aligned with the Django internal APIs and how their pagination system works, this would be the proper way to do it. And these are already available. So that would mean I just need to change the other places where I'm using the paginator to also adhere to that interface. Paginator equals paginator, page object equals page object. Very consistent, very familiar for other developers. That would increase the scope of this issue. As a first step, yeah, oh, it has get page method, but okay. In here, here's where I'll need to preserve the context argument. Huh, this is cool. You can update the context. I've always just been treating it as a dictionary and then adding keys, but okay. Maybe this is the update will override the keys, but if these are already provided by the view, then I don't need to override them. I don't need to use items. That's just my own little thing here, I suppose. So problem is, how lazy or what would the word be? Pragmatic am I going to be here? The right thing is to really make the code consistent. It means changing this internally, how it works. As you can see, I'm already pretty fuzzy about how it should work. Plus I need this elided page range, which is why I developed this bespoke. Well, what I can do is ask some help from my super friend here. I'll do this in parallel. I'll call this paginator 2. So that I won't break things. Something like that. Just limit the output here. And it already has the ellipsis, so I think this is a good move. Somehow it's already got the ellipses without me having to do anything fancy there. Interesting. Let's try it out. Okay. If it works here in the library, in the tag page, I'll look at it, using it more globally. I want to have just one pagination template. Paginator refactor, and I believe then all I need to do, close this one for a minute. Here I can say refactor. I'll need to come back to the view code. I think everything will be there. So I've already done this, and I just need to use arguments with that and that. So get all the way to the width. Very good. So let's see here what happens if we get an error here. So I see why it cast it to a list earlier. Oh yeah, and this needs to be page object. But that's not where the errors originate, of course. I'm trying not to use that helper. Find where this is originating. We've got chain, so it says object type itertools chain, right? That's being returned from our query set. Has no index length. So something ain't quite right. Let me just see if I've got that correct. Combined query set, how's that used? So I still have to do a little bit of manual preparation here, and I believe that's why I created this helper, in fact. This isn't inherently a Django convention, this is us just perhaps overriding that. So it brings me back to the pragmatic thing. So essentially, if I just use our helper and move forward with this, it's an example where I'm not perhaps following conventions, but they're not super clear what they are. It's a bit opaque to me, and I don't know if this is a convention. And since I'm using this combined query set approach, it's a bit fuzzy to me. But this should just be a query set. Let me just paste this in there. Actually, this is probably more. Has more context, more meaningful. Now, I didn't follow its instructions. There you're encountering type error object of iterable's chain has no length occurs because Django's paginator expects an object that supports length, typically a query set or a list. However, iterable's chain does not support length as it is a generator. To resolve the issue, you need to convert the chain query sets into a list before passing them into the paginator. However, keep in mind that this can be memory intensive if the query sets are large. So back to the list chain, but then that has a different problem. And then they just move the paginator. Oh no, that's in the get context. I'm still not doing this step. I don't acknowledge that. I know it has been written. That won't work. You can't call functions in the template. All right. That's one Django design decision. So it's kind of hallucinating this a bit. Yeah, this won't work. This is decided that you can't pass arguments into functions, at least. You can call them without arguments so that you keep logic out of the templates, which is one of the biggest gotchas where things can get really complicated the more logic you put in your templates. All right, so let's just roll back here and go with my pagination helper. I've got a paginated items. Hopefully, so this will work with the chain query set. Will it? Let's just try it. So it needs to be a query set. I'll take the list and move that again. Oops. And our context, we're going to import this. Yep. So we'll have to preserve this get argument in a moment. Let's just see if I can get this to work. So I used it in search, and I need to fix in the rendering of the items, and I need to pass this query string in. All right, let's just do that now. No, it's a little different, isn't it? It's context variable. I'll pass that in. Okay, yeah. What I did there, I just called it search query string, but why don't we just call it query string? Well, let's call it paginated items. Consistency. And we'll call this query string. We will. Didn't need to look at these again. Closing this. Let's take one more look at this. Needs to resemble the if paginated item, for item, paginated items. Did I do object list? Page. Alright, we're coming along here. Oh, we'll have to cast it to a list. It said it was CPU intensive, but it's necessary here. This is what I was a bit worried about, is this would, because we're combining query sets across multiple tables, essentially, models, things wouldn't work. Hey, pagination is working now, 1 of 15. So there's like 15 items. If I change the paginate by to like, let's say 3, not 30, reload, and let's see what happened here. Dude, there's such thin bar here, I can't even get to that. I cannot hover over this with my mouse. And there's 5 pages now, and the items are rendering, and I go to here. Yep, all right, so consistency. And I noticed when it was paginated by 1, our ellipses are working, aren't they? Wait for the reload. Yeah, there they are. Paginator. It worked. So now I'm going to refactor. I'm not sure what the conventions are again. I've defined a convention here in a utility that we're reusing, so at least there is a convention in place. And I think basically we want 10 items per page, so we should at least have 2 pages. 10 items is reasonable. Now whether this is performant, we'll have to keep track of page contains and the results, because it's preserving the query string. So let's just take the query string off. Oh, but it's appending it. That's a bug. All right, so watch this. When I click here, it'll take me to page 1 and page 2 and. Now I have page 1 and page 1 and. No problem. But then, yeah, so you get a bug. It's like, what page am I on? It is a problem. We can fix this. I'll change this. I don't need that anymore. We can fix this. And I probably have fixed it already on the search view. Query string. I just reconstruct it there. Makes sense. All right. Query string equals page, yada yada. So it's the manual thing, the query string. And then just right. Okay, I see page number. Let me think here for a second. No, I think that's correct. Yeah, the solution is different because I need to pass in the page number. Let's not break that. A little cleaner that way. All right, so in the template, I think this is what I do. In the paginator, so we don't need to pass in the query string. It's just, that's actually the bug, I think, because it's already handling the pages correctly. And yeah, that works. So go to page 2 and page 1, and there we go. And the and is just there. Okay. So hey, there we are. We have a functional paginator using shared code. Yeah, there's a bit of a flash of white. These enhancements I'd like to do. Get rid of that flash. Perhaps with HTMX, or there's some modern browser APIs that can, for example, wait. Maybe the browsers are already trying to do this by default, waiting until the background page loads and then sending the content. But I do see a little flash of white. I'm not going to be really overly concerned about it to start a whole SPA movement by any means. I want to just find a simple and local solution, keep sanity. Very good. So now our audience and things, the facets are working normally. We're using our search page less, and essentially this is one big old commit. Okay. Initial tags paginated. Looks good. Reduce search page usage, but the goal was actually to create this paginated tags page. We can find out other ways that the search page is being used, but I think this was a major one because from a crawler perspective, I'm clicking on it. I've got an article. I'm crawling all the articles, and then I'm taken to this, each of these tags. I'm crawling each of those tags, and I'm going to put quotes around that. I just realized pages tagged extinction, because this is not used in the sentence semantically. It's used by reference. So we're referencing this way. So subtle difference. That means I'm referring to the word of extinction, but I'm not using it grammatically or semantically. I'm not sure if I'm really clear on that, but it's grammar rule. I don't know if I'm describing this correctly, but the grammar rule referring to is known by use-mention distinction. The rule is applied when a word or phrase is mentioned but not used as a conventional semantic rule. So I guess I am kind of, I don't know, maybe it's hallucinating. Essentially, when you're talking about a word itself as an object rather than using it for its meaning in a sentence, you put it in quotes. So like here, the tag extinction is an object. I'm not using the word extinction to imply any meaning other than the fact that we're using that word as a tag. It's a really subtle thing. This clarifies that you're referring to the word as a word or phrase as a phrase, not for the meaning and context. So I'm referring to this whole phrase as just a phrase, and I'm not really meaning the exact meaning of these words. That's why it's so confusing. In your example, pages tags extinction. Oh, the word extinction is mentioned, but not used in its usual semantic sense. It is not talking about actual extinction, but rather about the word extinction as a tag. Therefore, it is enclosed in quotes. The distinction is crucial in linguistics, philosophy, and sometimes in everyday communication to avoid ambiguity and make clear when a term is being discussed rather than used normally. Pretty cool. Grammar can be interesting, but one of the challenges I'm having learning a language here in Finland, I need to learn Suomi, is that we're teaching people with grammar as a tool, as a pedagogical tool. In other words, it's grammar up front, practice in the back. I believe that practice comes first and grammar emerges out of practice, and people aren't ready to learn grammar until you're already familiar with the language, until you're already familiar like using the language in daily life. And these grammar rules are kind of tacit, and making them explicit only becomes relevant much more advanced state. I know grammar is often used to help us kind of categorize types of word usage and why there are differences in particular usage contexts, and to answer questions about why is it this way and why not that way. You need to kind of refer to grammar rules, but I think it's misguided to align your whole curriculum or textbook around grammar concepts like partitive, case. I find it really painful way of learning. It's not, I think, how humans naturally learn. It's a little divorced from our natural means of language acquisition, which is just conversational, using language in context and picking up the rules sort of statistically, just through having a lot of exposure. I don't know that I have a solution how I would design a language course. I am teaching English here in Finland, and we don't really talk about grammar. We just talk about understanding. Do you understand? Can you understand? Usually people are really flexible when I try to speak Suomi, and our brains can parse irregular grammar and all sorts of things. So our brains are very flexible, and we can read into what people are trying to say. We can read between the lines, read through the mistakes. So yeah. In any case, grammar is interesting, but it shouldn't be a pedagogical tool. Anyway, right? At early stages, maybe B level or C level language learners should start learning some more in-depth grammar. So we're going to find our template real quick, and just look at the top pages tag and put a couple of quotes around there. Refresh. Yeah. Quote the tag. And that way, especially with multi-word tags. The other thing I need to do is probably get the tag name, which might already be doing it here implicitly, but let me go to a multi-word tag, like climate change. Pages tag climate name change. Okay, here's one distinction. Another bug, so to speak. When I clicked on this tag from a user perspective, I see the phrase climate change. Well, here is climate, it's the slug, right? Oh. In my code, I need to distinguish in the view code between the quark is already coming in there. The slug is coming in there. So it would be nice if I could get the tag name here from this tag slug. Let's do that. I believe I just need to get the django-taggit tag model, which I don't know where it is, but from taggit models import tag. There we are. Pop both of those in there. Distinguish between them in the template. And I don't think I actually used the tag slug in the template. Let's just see. There we are. Okay, so I can just remove one line of code here. Yeah, that's just, you know, like nice touch. And we can see the capitalization here, and you know, it's not grammatical, it's just referencing that this is an object. This is a tag object. Like semantically, in the context of this sentence, this is an object, just an arbitrary string, we could say. And it's not actually meaning climate change. Like the semantics of those two words are removed when I put it in quotes. Very cool. So let's just pop that in there. Nothing else jumps off the page at me, like improvement wise. Oh yeah, of course. We'll push this up here though and open a pull request. The blobbiness and big header level stuff. And I don't like the red color, but that was an editorial decision, so I won't complain anymore about that. It just looks bad. It looks like I visited all of those pages. I haven't visited any of those. Closes 10:14. We'll create a draft here. And what would be a nicer way? Well, the problem I've been deferring just to get the page working is that these are perhaps all have different structure, and on our search page we have different templates depending on the content type. Now we can kind of reuse those here, but if I look, specific search template with entity, I look at my view, my search template, I think this is defined at the entity level. Let's try this. So while I'm iterating over them, I have an if statement here. And of course, we're not naming it results, so I'll have to change the context name. But for item in there, do that. And let's see if this just works. That'd be pretty cool. It did. And then, yeah, so it's still blobby redness. Almost looks worse, but in cards, but at least they're in cards. And H2 is a bit heavy, but at least it's consistent. So it's sort of basically back to the search page aesthetic. And I think I'm going to go over this with Mary and see how she wants to change this and improve the search page. So I'll leave it alone. I'll put the change that I currently did. I'll commit that, you know, because that's essentially how we're doing it. And if we do incorporate other content types, like article, actually, now that I look at it, should be a little bit different. So I wonder, okay, so this is climate change. If I can tag an article with climate change, what happens there? Do we get it in our search? Go to issued, add, add article. And this is bad. This is a whole other conversation, but they're deprecating this model admin view instead of just fixing it. Oh, actually, it's just tagging the existing one. It has to be, it's case sensitive, so that's one thing. View live, climate change, along climate change. These are all library items. So what I'm noticing is it didn't come up at all. Topic, library item. Oh, because I'm on search. Yeah. Right. The test article is using, okay, the search page. So we need to come back. Yeah, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. There it is. But what I'm thinking is happening here is the results are stratified. So first, all the library items appear sorted not in any particular way. Then all the articles appear. They pretty much appear. Okay, so at least the template thing is working. They pretty much appear: library items, magazine articles, news items, pages, stratified. So what is our experience that we're after here? Which is why one query would be really better. Yeah, until it's exhausted. So it's going to iterate over each of those. That's the way chain works. Makes sense. I think it's order. Order by. Let's see if it picks up on this. Come on, create a key lambda instance title lower. Test article. Let's see if it breaks. So it is running. Now at least it appears QRST W. Alright, so a bit of work there, but not too bad. A lot of this code is self-explanatory. These comments were mainly to prompt Copilot. I will add like an overall doc string just to kind of signal what I'm intending to do in this query set. So these are actually separate. Use the item search template if available. What is this? Out of curiosity, what does this suggest? The magic wand. Refactor. Okay. And the magic wand says, not bad. Some lint. Alright, so unit test. I have to take a break, but I believe I should at least put unit tests on the view. Get context. Query set. Or, yeah, get the query set and get context. I think we, just want to be notified if I make a change somehow that breaks something here. That's what unit tests are good for. So I'll leave this pull request in a draft state. We'll come back and work on in the evening. So yeah, this has been another open source live code hangout. I've been working on Western Friend website, pull request number 1015. You can check that out at github.com/westernfriend/westernfriend.org. And I've got some CI issues that I'll need to attend to as well. Deep source. Okay. I'm not super enthusiastic about keeping deep source around. I might actually just disable it. In any case, all right. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're doing well and have a great day.